ARMAROUGE is now officially out for AEOS coins, so I'm here to tell you today if you should be spending your hard-earned AEOS coins on this newest attacker, as it's still pretty hard to come by those AEOS coins, right? If you don't want to spend money, you gotta be very smart and just only buy Pokemon you really enjoy and are probably also good. So I'm gonna tell you at the same time how good ARMAROUGE is, and also if you enjoy certain kind of Pokemon, then you will also enjoy ARMAROUGE at the same time. So, for the short answer, yes, ARMAROUGE is very, very strong right now. Definitely something you can consider buying. In my last tier list that I posted yesterday, if you want to check it out, I ranked ARMAROUGE in S tier, both in Central and also in top and bot path. And for the longer answer, of course, we have the rest of the video to talk about it, tips and tricks as well, that will make sure that you have a head start when you jump into a game as ARMAROUGE. You know exactly what you are supposed to do. ARMAROUGE has 3 different builds that are viable, and also 2 completely different playstyles. So it's already kind of worth a lot of money just for the reason, or AEOS coins, because you get a lot of fun in it as you get 2 different builds that feel very different. So if you enjoy attacker Pokemon that are very stun heavy, mage heavy, like Ninetales, maybe Chandelure or Pikachu, you're gonna love Armor Cannon and Psyshock. It's a super, super fun build. Lots of burst damage, lots of range as well in its abilities, and of course also stuns. It's more of a supportive build, but it's currently also the best performing ARMAROUGE build when it comes to win rate, so it's been doing quite well. It's not really a main carry, so it's similar to, again, Pikachu, Ninetales is kind of like a secondary, or like Fire Spin Delphox. It's something that sets up your team, but still does a lot of damage. And for the build, of course, we play double glasses with Spoon. Honestly, the worst part about ARMAROUGE might be its Unite move. You have to use it quite smartly, either at the start of a team fight, so you get current reduction on your other moves. So you can either do Unite move to start a fight into your moves, and then also have current reduction on the next wave of moves, or you do a Psyshock Armor Cannon into Unite move for just a big AoE damage. You have multiple ways of playing it. Also, another tip for this Pokemon, if you can somehow basic attack something, if you can basic attack someone 3 times, your Armor Cannon, if you explode on someone, will do crazy damage. So if for some reason you can afford to basic attack, then it's also amazing. You can always start a team fight by using a Psyshock and then Armor Cannon, look for basic attacks, and then try to finish someone off with your next Armor Cannon. That's a pretty good way of playing this build. As when you proc your passive on someone, like for example Clefable right here, you can see, bam, just a crazy amount of AoE damage as you also proc your passive at the same time. So, very strong attacker. If you enjoy mage attacker Pokemon, then definitely this is your way to go. Of course, it is quite squishy. It doesn't have an escape. So in case the enemies have a lot of dive, you can also just put in Flame Charge for this build over Psyshock. Flame Charge will give you a stun, will also give you a shield, and also maybe give you some mobility to be able to live in case you get dove on too much. For example, they have Leafeon, maybe Zoroark and stuff, and the enemies just have too much dive on their hands, then you can't really afford to go Psyshock. Otherwise, it's definitely the best moveset for ARMAROUGE as an attacker Pokemon. So Flame Charge only is like an option if you really, kind of similar to maybe like Solar Beam and Giga Drain Venusaur, that if you really have to go for it. The other option, Psyshock, is better. Definitely, not questioning that, but if you really can't afford to go for it, then yeah. And also this build, of course, is super fun. Armor Cannon on level 11 gets an insane amount of range, so you can stay very far back, and Explosion is also quite huge, so you can stay far back and make sure you don't get dove. If the enemies have literally 0 dive, then it's very fun to play this build. Again, for the Ignite move, don't worry too much about it, just try to use it, just don't. If the enemies are diving you, maybe not anymore though. Again, use it at the start of a fight, or after comboing, you know, with one of your teammates. So definitely can recommend you try this out. And because of its passive, it also has huge Rayquaza secure. In this scenario, I built up 3 basic attacks on Rayquaza into an Armor Cannon. You can see how much damage it does. So it's also great for solo queue, as it can secure objectives super easily. And then for the completely other playstyle, where we have Fire Spin and Flame Charge. Very similar to also Venusaur with Giga Drain and Petal-Dance. Kind of the same thing. You have a huge AoE circle around you, and then the other move is kinda to make you live. What is very important for this moveset is to also use Unite Move at the start of a fight to get less cooldown on Flame Charge, but also to be melee on top of someone, because the boosted auto attack you get from ARMAROUGE, which you also get for like the next few seconds after using Psyshock and Flame Charge, does more damage the closer you are to an opponent. So it's very important that when you use Flame Charge, you try to auto-attack melee. See, saw me, I tried to walk as close as I could to the Miraidon here to make sure that my boosted auto attack fully hits and I get all the damage out. Still like try to look from here as well. And this build is super, super fun. It is very tanky. There's 2 different item sets you can go for. Either you can go for a double stacking build if you play it in lane, which is very fun, with either Resonant Guard or Spoon. Or you can also play it in central area with something like Spoon, Resonant Guard, Focus Band, Muscle Band, even Rapid Fire Scarf. All of those items work quite well. So if you enjoy mages, perfect Pokemon. If you enjoy something like Paladins, Venusaur, if you enjoy Allrounders in general that just want to run into the enemy team that have lots of AoE damage, maybe like Whirlpool, Azumarill or something, or even just basic attack Pokemon, something that has to run into the opponents, does a lot of damage, becomes a super, super tanky late game, which ARMAROUGE does. Like, this Pokemon in late game gets super tanky. Also because Fire Spin, every single time it hits someone, it builds up our defense and special defense. So you become very tanky, up to 3 times. And then Flame Charge, of course, gives us a stun and also a shield. But it's very important that you have to hit Flame Charge. If you miss Flame Charge, it's very costly. You only get the shield of Flame Charge if you hit someone. And also, it gets less cooldown after hitting someone. So if you miss Flame Charge, it is very, very bad for ARMAROUGE. So you have to really, really make sure that you don't miss your Flame Charge. Because also, again, you get cooldown reduction just by hitting someone. So if you miss it, you have less dash, less shield, and also less uptime on your boost auto attack. Again, the boost auto attack does a crazy amount of damage, so you don't want to miss out on it. Here's why, Triple Quasar, we walk melee onto it to make sure we get the entire boost auto attack damage out. Always on top of it. I pretty much like both movesets a lot, and there's also the third one again. There's also Flame Charge and Armor Cannon, which I think is totally fine to go as well. Psyshock, of course, a bit better, but Flame Charge, never the wrong option. But I like both builds. You can always decide, seeing what your enemies have or what your team has, to see what you want to go for. Are you lacking some sort of range? You can go for Armor Cannon and for Psyshock. Like, for example, in this game, if I didn't have the build I wanted to play, it was, of course, a blind pick game, so I couldn't quite see what my enemies had. I also could have went easily for Armor Cannon and Psyshock in this game, but I really wanted to play this double stacking Fire Spin build, which has been the most fun out of all the ARMAROUGE builds now that I've discovered this double stacking build, Special Specs, Cookie, Resonant Guard, or Spoon as our third item. It is so fun in late. You can see after level 15, I don't take any damage. It is so crazy how tanky ARMAROUGE gets. It's super, super fun. Again, the Unite move is a bit tricky. So if you miss your Unite move, I don't quite know what to do with it. I think that's normal, as I don't even know sometimes myself what to really do with it. But again, you can engage a fight with it. You can maybe follow up some teammates with it, but it's very good to just use it for cooldown reduction. Besides that, let me know in the comments if you're going to buy ARMAROUGE, and if you bought it, if you can recommend it for others, can also maybe help the decision of spending these AEOS coins for someone. If you say, yeah, I can definitely recommend ARMAROUGE as well. It's such a fun Pokemon and definitely something that anyone should be playing. I don't think it's too toxic either. It's definitely not like something that has zero counterplay to, so you don't have to feel too bad for playing it either.